On Christmas morning, my parents surprised my sister with a brand new car in the driveway. Then they turned to me and tossed a plastic bag of leftovers on the table. Dad took a sip of coffee, laughed, and said Santa doesn't reward losers. I just smiled and said, guess I'll find my own way. I made a move they didn't see coming. 2 years later, they called F. 3 days sobbing, please come home, we're desperate. Okay, so I haven't posted on here before. But I really need to get this off my chest. Like, I genuinely don't even care if this sounds messy or whatever. I just want someone not in my family to see how freaking weird and twisted things can get in a regular house. If you read this and you're like, not nobody does this to their own kid, IDK, maybe you just got lucky with your family. LMAO. Anyway, here's how it went down. And yeah, I'm still mad tbh. So Christmas morning, right? I'm at my parents' place. This is last December. I'm not a kid, I'm 23. But I moved back in because I had a bunch of stuff fall apart at once last year. I was supposed to finish college, but I switched majors a couple times. Law. My spot got depressed, whatever, I don't have to explain it. But my dad has never let me forget it. My sister Allison, she's 2 years younger. She's always been the star of the family. Like, straight up, my dad says stuff like she gets it from me, and then he'll just ignore me, or he'll make a joke about how I don't have my life together. My mom just goes along with whatever. She's always been like that. I don't even know if she's got her own real opinions, or if she just pick whichever side is gonna keep things quiet. So the morning is weird from the get-go. I wake up, and I hear my mom and dad talking in the kitchen, but they're whispering, which is sketchy cause usually my dad is super loud, so I'm already side-eyeing the whole thing. I walk downstairs, and my dad is all smiles. But it doesn't feel right. Allison is already dressed for makeup, scrolling on our phone at the table like she owns it. My dad goes, oh, there he is, the man of the hour. And I'm like, what's that supposed to mean? But I just grunt and set my mom pours me coffee, but doesn't say good morning, which again, just weird. She's always been nervous around the holidays, but this is different. So we're sitting there, and Allison is barely pretending to pay attention, just tapping her nails on our screen. My dad keeps making these comments. He goes, some people in this house know how to work for what they want. And I'm just like, whatever, dude, I know what this is about. I'm not even trying to fight about it. I just want the day to be over. So then my dad gets up and puts his hand on Allison's shoulder and says, all right, let's do it. And I just know something's off. We all go to the front door, and he opens it, and there's a car in the driveway with a giant red bow on it. Not a used piece of junk. I'm talking like something new. My mom is beaming, and Allison just starts screaming, like actually screaming, and hugging my dad. I'm standing there like an idiot because obviously this wasn't a surprise for both of us, and they didn't even try to pretend. Then my dad turns to me and goes, well, Santa doesn't reward losers. He actually says that. He laughs and takes a sip of coffee, and my mom just stands there. I'm like, are you serious? He shrugs, and my mom hands me this plastic bag from the fridge. It's leftovers, like actual leftovers in a bag. Called him so. Some mashed potatoes, and she just says, here you go, trust, and thought you might want this later. Like I'm some stray dog. They're tossing scraps to look. I know I'm not perfect, but I'm not a total screw up either. I just made some mistakes, switched majors, took longer to figure my shit out, and honestly, I worked last summer. I paid rent. I did everything they asked. But it's never enough. Allison is just standing there, keys in her hand, pretending not to watch. But she's got this stupid smirk on her face. My dad goes, maybe if you start acting like a real adult, you'll get something better next year. And I just lost it. I threw the plastic bag back on the table. It hit the coffee mug and knocked it over. My dad stands up real quick, gets in my face. He's like, you think you deserve anything? You've never done anything for this family. You just take. I told him, I'm done with this. You want to treat me like garbage? I'll find my own way. He says, try it. Let's see how long you last. So I just walk out there. Front door, don't even bother with a jacket, just my phone and wallet, and I hear my mom say, trust in, don't be dramatic, come back inside. I slammed it. I could hear them behind me, but nobody followed. I'm standing in the driveway looking at the new car. Allison's already inside, showing it off on her story to her friends, music blasting with the windows down, and I just walk. I didn't even have a plan. I just knew I wasn't gonna stay there another second. I went to my old friend's place, crashed on his couch. He asked what happened, and I just told him my family finally picked sides. And it wasn't mine. The thing is, this isn't new. My dad's been like this forever. He runs everything like it's a competition. He always says only winners get anywhere. And he decided a long time ago that I was the loser. Allison is just like His mini-me, she doesn't even care about the car. Not really, she just cares that she got it. And I didn't. My mom, she just wants everyone to look good for the neighbors. So she goes along with whatever makes dad happy. I'm not going to pretend I was calm about it. I was pissed like shaking. I could barely type out a text to my friend asking if I could crash. But here's the thing. And this is why I'm posting. I'm not letting them when I'm done playing a lot, done trying to get their approval, done sitting. They're waiting for them to throw me a bone. They want to call me a loser, fine. I'll show them what happens when they push someone too far. So yeah, that's how Christmas went down at my place. I left with nothing but my phone and my wallet, and honestly, I'm not coming back. They think they've seen the last of me. But they have no idea I've already got a plan for me. And I swear I'm not going to just sit around on and take it anymore. Next part is where things start to actually get interesting, cause if they thought I was a problem before, they have no clue what's coming their way. If people care, I'll update, because trust me, this is just the start. Update 1. Alright, this is part 2 NGL. I didn't even think I'd actually write an update, but I'm getting DMZ and honestly just yelling into the void this point, so why not? And yeah, I'm still angry, not even pretending I'm not. I left off at Christmas, me storming out after the whole leftovers thing while my sister's out there flexing her new car. And my dad's acting like he just won some competition. I mean, it's not even about the car, it's about the way they looked at me like I was just this failed side quest or whatever. So I spent the first night at my buddy Dennis. This place, he's got this basement room that's basically a storage closet with the mattress. But I didn't care. He didn't ask questions at first, just kinda tossed me a blanket and kept scrolling his phone. The next morning he's like, "Are you gonna call your mom?" I just shook my head, said nope, not unless they call first. He just nodded like, yeah, makes sense. So that was the start. I spent 2 weeks there sleeping on that mattress, looking for anything that would pay. I was swiping through gig apps, looking at Craigslist, calling random places, just trying to make it work. Everything felt off. But what really tripped me out was day 3 when I checked my phone and saw 0 missed calls, 0 texts. Now, thing, it's not like I expected an apology, but I was IDK expecting something. Instead, my mom just posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook of Allison with her new car, big captions about how proud they are of how hard work pays off. Like I wasn't even there. I showed Dennis and he just gave me that look like, bro, your family is wild. I started a real lives. They weren't even embarrassed about it, not even hiding it from the rest of the family. My Aunt Vivian called me a few days later just to check if I was okay, said she saw the pictures and that it looked like a big day. I told her what happened, just the facts. And she didn't even sound surprised. She goes, yeah, your dad's never been subtle about who his favorite is. She said I should just focus on myself. But it still stung. Allison texted me once, literally just sent a pic of her nails on the steering wheel with the caption, "I just left," or "on read a decay," if anyone can relate to this. But when you're out of the house and you realize your family isn't even pretending to care, you get this weird mix of mad and free, like, okay, I can do whatever I want now. But at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, let them just act like I don't exist. So I started thinking, why do they treat me like this? It's always been about potential with my dad. He's obsessed with image. He wants to be the guy who raised the perfect daughter and the genius son. But when I started messing up, switching majors, dropping classes, not getting the right internships, he just decided I was dead weight. Allison's always been good at playing the part. She knows what to say to get what she wants. She's not dumb, but she's not as clever as she thinks. She was always better at telling my parents what they wanted to hear. So they gave her more, and my mom just goes along so she doesn't have to deal with my dad getting mad. That's the dynamic. It's not even hidden. So I'm at Dennis's for a bit, and I finally get a place with 2 other guys. It's a dumb op, but it's mine. I started getting hours wherever I could, just stalking cash, not saying a word. My family, a few months go by, and I'm not gonna pretend it's some montage of success, because it sucked. I was eating microwave noodles, borrowing Wi-Fi from the neighbor, and every time I saw a family post online, I'd get this rage in my chest that just wouldn't go away. But at the same time, I started feeling like, why should I care about their approval? If I could just get my own thing going, I could prove to everyone, including myself, TBH, that I didn't need them. Then stuff started to shift a little. My uncle Ellis called me up talking about some family thing, and he just casually asked if I'm still mooching off my parents. I'm like, what? And he says, your dad was telling Everyone you refuse to get a job that you just slept all day and cause drama, that's when it clicked like they're not just ignoring me, they're actively trashing me to everyone else, probably because it makes them look better. I told Ellis, not I left I've been working. Paying rent, I don't ask him for anything, he just goes I guess I heard it wrong and changed the subject, but I could tell he believed their version more than mine. People always do, right? So that's when I started getting strategic. I didn't go online and blast them, I'm not messy like that. But I started telling the truth when people ask every time a cousin her and asked why. I wasn't around, I told them not no whiny way, just straight up. I also made sure to help out family. When I could, my cousin needed a ride to the airport, I said yes. My aunt needed someone to help with her old computer, I did it. But if my parents called, which was rare, I ignored it. Sometimes my mom would text a random question about a bill, and I just leave it on read. You know what's funny? Around the 1 year mark, Allison's posts started getting with not as many car selfies, more sweets about people being fake, more humble bragging that sounded desperate. My dad, he started calling my phone, not often, but just enough, usually no voicemail, just a missed call. I figured they must be fighting. Then right after New Year's, I ran into a neighbor at the grocery store. She's like, oh, you're back in town. I told her I'd been working nearby for a while. She go, does your mom said you're traveling, must be nice to have so much free time. So they were still lying to the neighbors. Classic. I started getting more deliberate. When people asked about my parents, I just shrugged and said, we don't talk much, but I'm doing fine. If they pressed, I'd say yeah, they did some stuff that made it pretty clear where I stand. One time my dad actually showed up at my building, just stood out front like he expected me to invite him up. I walked right past him, nodded, and kept going. He tried to stop me, put his hand on my arm, but I pulled away and kept walking. He muttered something about respect, but I just ignored him. That was the first time I realized he had no power unless I gave it to him. After that, I was ruthless. I cut off every little favor, every way they could get me to help them save face, but I made sure the rest of the family knew I was around doing fine and not asking for anything. About 6 months ago, I heard from my cousin that my parents were having money problem. Turns out the car wasn't really paid off, they just put a giant down payment and were stuck with payments they couldn't afford. Allison wasn't helping, she'd already had two fender benders, and the insurance was insane. My mom started leaving voicemails asking if I could come home for dinner, if I could help with some paperwork, if I could just stop by. I started to realize they didn't want me, they just needed me to fix their mess. So yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm not a saint, not pretending I'm some mastermind, but I'm not letting them rewrite the story. I'm making moves slowly, I'm getting my shit together. And I'm not going to be the guy they blame everything on. If they think I'm just going to show up and save them, they've got another thing coming. Next part, I'll get into how I started really putting pressure on them. Because if they thought I was just gonna take it, they were dead wrong. This is just the start update to so yeah, this is the next part and IDK. If it'll hit the same for people. But this is where I really started to make moves, like not just living my best life out of spite, well, but actually applying pressure. So my parents had to feel it. And before anyone says it, no, I don't feel bad. I can't even pretend to feel bad. If you know, you know. So I mentioned last time about my parents' financial trouble and my sister Allison going off the rails a bit. I noticed the posts from her got kind of weird. She used to post non-stop about her car brunches, whatever. And now it's all memes about fake friends and nobody's loyal. I started getting more texts from random cousins asking what's up with my family, like they were fishing for gossip. I just told them straight up, nothing's up with me. I'm good. You should ask my dad if you want the real show. But here's where it gets wild. My dad start texting me directly like I got a minute, not even pretending it's about anything but money. One time he just says, can you help your mother with some bills? She's stressed. I didn't even reply, so he tries calling. And when I let it go to voicemail, he leaves this long message about how family is supposed to stick together and that he's disappointed in how I turned out. I saved the message not to listen to, but as a reminder of how little he changes. Meanwhile, I start seeing my parents had family events again, like cousin birthday stuff. You can avoid. My dad tries to play it cool, but then makes these little digs in front of people like, well, some people have to learn the hard way. I just smile. Say yeah. I guess some people never learn. My mom just looks tired. She asked me once, can't we just let the past go? I told her I'll let it go when I get the respect I never got. She didn't answer, just walked off. The thing is, I wasn't just Stonewalling them, I started being extra helpful to everyone else. If my aunt or uncle needed something, I'd show up no question when my cousin needed a lift to her grad party. I was there. If family needed tech help, I sorted it out. Everyone started noticing that I was around, but not around my parents and people talk. I could tell the story was changing. My dad tried to get ahead of it, telling people I was on a journey or finding myself. But no one's that dumb. My uncle Dennis pulled me aside at a barbecue. Like, so what actually happened? I told him. You saw how they treated me. I'm not making it up. He just nodded, said, yeah. I always thought your dad went too far. Even Allison started getting weird. She texted me a few times. First just dumb stuff like, can you pay my then go back from months ago? I ignored. Then she tried to stir the pot, sending screenshots of my mom crying about how I abandoned them. She came by my place once unannounced, saying I should just apologize and everything would go back to normal. I told her, you mean I should just pretend none of this happened? She got mad, shoved me, and said I was being dramatic. I told her if she ever showed up again, I'd call the cops. She slammed the door on our way out. So yeah, I was done playing. I started doing stuff I knew would mess with them. When they text about bills, I'd leave them on read. If they tried to guilt me on Facebook, I'd reply with facts. Like, my dad posted something about family values, and I commented some dads reward their kids with love, not leftover. That win got a bunch of likes from cousins, and my aunt Lindsay messaged me to say finally someone said it. The real pressure, though, I started talking to the people my parents actually care about, like their church friends, their neighbors. Nothing dramatic, just honest. Mrs. Parker next door asked if I was coming back for the holidays. I told her I don't go places where I'm not wanted. She looked kind of shocked, but word gets around. Then I found out Allison crashed, or Corrigan insurance wouldn't cover it. Also, now my parents were making double payments, and Allison was pissed because she thought she'd just get another new one. My dad called me asking if I could loan them some money. I laughed and hung up. Next thing you know, he's telling people I refused to help family in need. I made sure to let people know I'd helped everyone except the people who threw me out. I also started keeping receipts. Like, literally every time they asked for something, I'd screenshot. And when they tried to say I never helped, I just send the screenshots to whoever needed to see. My dad tried to fight back, sending me this long text about how I was ruining the family's reputation. I replied, you already did that when you made Christmas about humiliation. People started picking up on the real story. My mom's friends stopped liking her posts. Both my dad's friends stopped inviting him to stuff. My parents started showing up less to family things. My mom called me, voice shaking, saying I needed to stop making them look bad. I told her, you made me look bad my whole life. Now it's your turn. Even my grandma got involved, called me, and said I know things aren't perfect, but you're still family. I told her I'd come see her, but not have my parents with it. She sighed and said she understood. So yeah, it's not like I'm rich or famous or whatever, but I made damn sure my parents felt what I felt, being left out, being the one everyone whispers about, being the one no one wants to help. And I'm not done yet. If they thought they could just move on and pretend it never happened, they're about to learn. Next part, I'll show you what happens when the people who always thought they were untouchable finally start to crack. Trust me, by the end, they were the ones begging me for help. And I didn't give an inch. Final update. So this is it, the last part, I guess. It's weird how something as dumb as a plastic bag of leftovers can turn into this whole saga. But here we are. If you've read the other parts, you know how it got here. If not, TL down. My parents made Christmas about humiliate, picked my sister Allison as their golden child, and I bounced. I didn't call back. I made sure they felt it. I meant it when I said I wouldn't tolerate that crap. So you ever notice how people start acting different when the mask slips? Like, the first real hint was last fall when my mom started texting me a Weird Al hours, not just hey hope you're well, but 4 paragraphs like trip.